I've got a little kind of mini questionable decision from my own life that I want your opinion on. So next Wednesday, I'm having about 20 or so people over to watch the Republican debate, and we're going to grill some meat and all that kind of stuff.
Decision.
And, you know,
this is not a political podcast, Michael. Why are you bringing this up?
It's not political
stop
to
it.
watch a political debate. We're just watching it.
You're
cheer
the only person I've ever heard of that is having a debate
a debate party for unnamed Republican candidate. So anyway, my question here is, we host a lot. We have people over, we make meals, we have friends and family and all kind of things. But then we also do things like we almost put on events like this. This is a little bit different than, hey guys, come over. We want to like have you over. It's like, hey, we're going to put this on TV. We're going to grill for you, etc. So I decided just to do this. We have a little sign-up sheet. We're going to buy the steaks at cost. We're going to make a punch. It's $7 if you want to buy into the punch. Because 20 people, if we're going to do steaks and a punch, you're talking several $100s, like, right? So I guess my question is, what do you guys think about, hospitality versus like an event and asking people to pitch in? It's almost like there's a door charge, like we're back in college or something.
I'm sorry.
I don't know why this makes me laugh.
I'm just imagining this event.
It's gonna be great.
Oh man.
I'm picturing there's a doorman. You get your hand stamped for punch or no punch.
Right.
They check your like voting record somehow just to make sure you haven't messed up in the past. I don't know. I mean, I think no handouts is you can't have socialism at a Republican.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, actually, this is like the theme.
Everyone has to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and get into your front door.
Are boots required? You need to wear boots. To get in.
So yeah.
Big old straps on the side.
You'd have to.
Now, to actually answer your question, I guess it's like, I'm not opposed to the idea. I've never done it. How do you differentiate those events? And how do you present it to the friends, the people you want to come?
Yeah, the thing for me that's always been tricky is if we wanted to just have an open invitation and have lots of people over, we could grill, some frozen burgers, and it's not even about sort of the money of it all at that point. But like, I want to buy some nice ribeyes and have a nice punch and like have a nice party. And at that point, you're talking about some cost accumulating. And I feel like those are sort of two different things. A lot of people tend towards the, do something that feeds everybody side of things. But I like to do things a little more elaborately. And we've never done this before either. And, it in some ways I was kind of like, is this tacky? But I don't know. If someone told me, hey, come over to my house, I'll make you a nice ribeye and make you a nice punch and host you for a good time for like $25, that's cheaper than you can get 2 drinks at a bar. So to me, I feel pretty confident that I don't care what anyone thinks about the idea.
I think that's important. That's the important part. You don't care what anybody thinks. Have you gotten any feedback from anyone yet?
Three
and what
people
does your wife
since last
think?
night have signed up.
I mean, have you gotten any feedback like, Michael, what the hell? You're making us pay for our
No, and I think the other
meal?
thing, like I said, is we do these kinds of things pretty often. And, oftentimes we'll ask people to bring this or that, but oftentimes we, just provide stuff. And I think we want to continue to do it. And a good way to do that is just to kind of take the sort of financial brunt away from it. That way we can do it regularly. And that's not even a consideration on our part. So I don't know. I think it's just kind of weird because, in college and when you're younger, it's like, yeah, pitch in and everyone covers. And then you want to start having people over and you foot the bill and we're totally good with that. But I think there's a place for it if you're really providing some kind of an event or experience, and it's especially if it's like an open door thing and you're not specifically inviting 2 people or 4 people over to your house. But I don't know. I have not experienced someone doing it before either, so that makes me question myself. But at the same time, I'm like pretty confident that it's a good deal for everybody.
I think it's just about communication. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with asking people to chip in if they know ahead of time that that's what the expectation is. Back when I was like a teacher, I think it was 23, 24. We had some friends invite us over, and we brought stuff too. Like I remember we brought stuff. We actually chipped in, and then like they basically like almost sent us a bill after, and it was like, oh, because they bought some really expensive like meat, or I can't remember what they bought, but they bought something like that was crazy, and they wanted like $100 from us, like after we left and after we had chipped in, and I was like, this is wild. Like this is not a nice thing. So I think it's just like communication ahead of time.
Yeah. The sitting an invoice on the back end, I think that's a little in bad taste. And also even just like that much money. Planning. Again, I'm talking about literally covering cost. $17 for a steak and $5-10 for a punch. I think that's pretty reasonable. At least it would seem reasonable to me.
I think so. I think steaks. I think if you're doing steaks, I've invited a bunch of people over and I got like nice, like prime New York strips and stuff. And that was really expensive.
Because they are. I mean, they're literally $18. And
everybody liked it.
$18 a pop. And if 20 people come, all of a sudden I'm spending $500 to have people over for a couple hours. And I guess the sort of metric for me is I want to have a $500 party, but share the weight of that among it, and everybody. I mean, I think that's just a win-win to have a good fun event with good food, good drinks, not cut corners, but then just kind of everyone pay their share. So I don't know. I think I'm just asking because I don't really see it being done, but I'm a weird guy. I do stuff other people don't do, so I'll chalk it up to that.
There has been an idea that when you host people over, you're supposed to take care of everything. And it is really nice. And I like hosting. There are some events that we host annually, and I love it. Like I love being the house where people come and gather and do stuff. And it is wonderful. But it can be like, I mean, it can be an energy drain on you, but it can also be a financial like drain. And you plan for that stuff, it's coming up generally. But I like the idea that if you like hosting and people like coming over and being at your place and sharing those events with you, that there's a way that you can kind of make it something that is more sustainable long term. And I think that that's really neat. And I think that the expectation that the people who host always have to pay for everything, that's kind of like an unspoken thing. But I think it's really that people just want to come over and gather and have a good time with one another. They're not coming over to your house for dinner because like, oh, this is one meal I don't have to pay for this week, or, get to spend a little less money at the grocery store or going out. It's because they want to be over and hang out with you. And so, and they're grateful that they have that space to do so. So I think it's a neat concept. I think especially for the kind of gathering that you're having where you want to do something a little bit higher end and have this really nice evening for everyone. I'm curious how it goes and like what kind of feedback you get from people.
I'm also remembering
whether or not they want to do
where
more of
this
it.
idea kind of got born out of. So I've told you all about, I got a Weber grill, and it was like I turned 30 and had to light up some charcoal. It was like, it came to me like the ghost of Christmas past one night. It was like, you have to get a Weber grill. So I got a Weber grill, and my thought was, how can I like crank up the grill regularly and just have people come over and bring their own meat? And it's not like we have to plan everything, but the grill's here and we'll spend some time together. So we came up with this idea of Weber Wednesdays, and we did one Weber Wednesday that was actually a Friday. And what happened was we had probably 25 people come over, and everybody brought a different kind of meat protein. So chicken thighs, chicken breasts, big steaks, little steaks, bone in, bone out, pork, sausage brats. I mean, it was just so much stuff. And the timing of it and the temps of it was hard to manage. And so I said, okay, if we're going to do this again, we're going to coordinate and we're going to get the same kind of protein. And so that's sort of the idea, is that it's not about being cheap or, never hosting where we're not asking people to bring stuff. And people do always bring something, that they'll bring a bottle of something or this or that. But I think it's just more of the sustainable. Like, we want to be able to do it more regularly and it be more of a thing. Then I think you get rid of some of the like formalities of how you would host someone individually. I don't know. I would welcome that if someone else was doing it. But I think it's a foreign thing. I don't think people like quite think like that. But I think that keeps people from hosting as often, because you do have to budget for it and plan for it. So I don't know. We will see how it goes. I'll report back.
I can't remember if I told you guys about this before, but it reminds me of a birthday party I went to a few years ago, and it was at a karaoke spot, and everybody had a great time. We all drank way too much. We, screamed our lungs out singing songs from, early 2000s, late 90s. It was amazing. And the end of the night, we're getting ready to leave. And the person who had hosted the party realized that it was more expensive. The pricing was different than they realized. And so rather than it being like, I don't know, $200 for the evening, it was like $500 or $600 for the evening. And there was no expectation that anybody was going to pay. I mean, you were going to pay for like some of your drinks basically, but they had booked the space. And so at the end of the evening, he asked us all to chip in to cover the difference. And I mean, of course we did, because, your friends, it's the right thing to do. But it was just an interesting, like, the expectation was set different than what the reality ended up being like. And, I don't know what else you would do in that situation other than help your friend out. But the point is that you're not telling everybody at the end of the night, like, actually, you owe me $50 per couple.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is, I just think if you're like, I literally sent them a sign up form with the costs, and it's just like, do you want me to buy you a steak?
Yeah.
Here's how much it costs. Do you want punch? Here's how much it costs. And if you know what you're signing up for, then it's all kosher.
Yeah.
I don't know if the steak will be kosher.
How rowdy is this party?
I don't know. I've had some.
Oh, yeah.
We have a number of people who are on certain sides of the aisle, and there's certain people who are on other sides of the aisle. So,
are they all on the Republican side of the aisle?
You think I only have Republican friends? Come on. No, there'll be different opinions. But I don't know. I don't actually think it'll be that big a deal. It's the first one. Trump's not going to be there, so I'm kind of a political wonk. A lot of these people are. So rowdy, I don't know. But who knows? It could be crazy. I haven't determined if I'm going to do it like on a projector in the garage and just like we'll do it on the outside, or if we're going to go inside. I think maybe that outside, like everybody's just kind of that might contribute to a little more rowdiness.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could see. It's like I wouldn't want to go to that type of event, I don't think. But I really wish I could see you in that element, because I feel like what we get here is.
Can we get a live
You
stream?
want me to live stream the watch party? That might suck up all my bandwidth, on my Wi-Fi bandwidth.
I think we get like 30% of your true form, and I feel like 100% of your true self comes out in those environments.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do think that I like keeping up with politics just in general, and we used to for every debate over the last several election cycles, we've done something. We've either had a couple people over, or we've gone out to a restaurant and watched it. I remember the Trump-Hillary debate we watched at a bowling alley on International Drive in Orlando. And it was like at the bar, and they had the volume up. They turned off the music and actually played the volume at like a sporting event. Yeah. And that was the one, that was the one where I don't remember the quotes from it, but he said some wild stuff like you'd be in jail. And watching that in public was wild. It really was like a sporting event. So I don't know. I don't know how tame or crazy this one will be. Obviously Trump won't be there, so just a little bit of a softens it a little bit maybe, but yeah, we'll see.
What other themed parties have you had?
Themed?
And you too, Bobby. Have you hosted any themed parties? Like, I mean, this seems like a themed party or some kind of.
I do a lot of like, we do like during NFL season, we'll have people over for the games. We like camera just went all weird. When the Astros go to they've been in the World Series like multiple times over the last couple of years, so we've done some parties for that, but mostly like sports themed stuff.
Mhm.
I don't do like typically like themed parties.
We do St. Patrick's Day has always been one of our big events, and normally cook anywhere from 35 to 45 pounds of corned beef.
Whoa.
And have like 40 or so people over, upwards of that. Just like an open house kind of thing. Come and get some corned beef, and people go to the parade and people hang out, and that's a fun one.
Are you Irish or
Declan is. He's like
Declan's Irish. Okay.
like a third maybe Irish.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not at all.
Oh, okay. All right.
We'd have to have like an English themed party to, represent my ancestry.
Man, you and Michael, both English.
Mm-hmm.
What if you're related somewhere back there?
Probably.
Somewhere in the.
Probably.
We've done an 80s murder mystery party. We've done
80s murder mystery.
I've got pictures.
Oh my gosh.
Expecting that. Okay.
Where you just like you pick out like you've got like 3 buckets that have like a bunch of like themes in them, and it's like one from this bucket, one from this bucket, one from this bucket, and you put them together, and it's like murder mystery, pull out, and then you pull out 80s, but it could have been 70s murder mystery.
What the heck
Ariel,
are you
did I
talking
miss
about?
out? I mean,
no,
I was
that's
born
not
in
at
the
all that's not at all how that worked.
I was born in the 80s, but just barely. I feel like I kind of missed it. Was it worth it? Was it cool?
I mean, from what I remember,
you were young. I mean,
yeah, I was 83. I mean,
yeah. So you would have been like 5. So you wouldn't have really. You were, yeah.
Kimberly might have better pictures, but this was like lots of hair, lots of shoulder pad. Oh,
that is so blurry. But
no,
is
it's
that
not
you, right.
I don't know if it's going to focus. But hairspray and shoulder pads. And,
Okay, I was going to need to see so much more if that was you.
So it's got like a script, and you kind of act it out, and that was a lot of fun.
Okay.
I'm not going to remember right now.
I had a hat party one time. No, I had a couple of hat parties. And the hat parties, you just come wearing the craziest hat you've got. And
I had a half.
That's it.
You had a hat party.
Oh, a hat party.
Everybody just came wearing a different hat.
Cool.
Yeah, crazy hats. We had hats in case you didn't have one. This was when we were like, we had just bought our house. So we were like 19 and 20. And it was just like, we were the only people who had a house. So let's have a party. And it seemed like it needed a theme. So hats.
That's fair.
I'm glad your creativity has kind of like blossomed over the years.
It has. It really has.
This is from a 1920s Roaring Twenties party.
Oh my gosh! Can you send me that picture so I can put it as my screen background?
It's fuzzy, so I can decide whether or not.
We only get a small percentage of what Michael really is.
Well,
it's unfortunate.
We don't live in the same place. It's
see the whole.
Could we do a retreat one time that's like a theme?
Wait, the whole thing, and we have to stay in character. We're given character cards.
Yes.
And we show up in the airport, and we have to just play that until we leave. Oh, totally.
Yes.
Totally.
Okay.
I'm going to skip that retreat. I'm going to come in remotely for that one.
All right. Well, with that being said, that's kind of my little questionable decision. I want to do something a little bit different and just ask a question of us. Some combination of what is the worst financial mistake that you've made? And or if you could go back and talk to your 15-year-old self, not give them some advice and tell them, do not do this because it really effed up the next couple of years. What is sort of that thing that was like, dang, I do wish I'd done that differently?
Are you thinking like a specific decision, or could it be like a point in your life when you were not making great decisions?
If you can impress me with the latter, I'll accept it.
Okay.
So I'll start.
Let me think.
I'll start.
Second. Yeah.
When I was maybe 19 or so in college and had my first credit card, I for 2 months I didn't pay the balance for some reason, and I don't know why, but it dropped my credit score a couple hundred points, and it took years to rebuild from that. I'd say probably that was just one of the ones that was like just dumb and wasn't necessary. Like I didn't even make the minimum payment. And then the other would be just not investing a little bit earlier. I mean, I really, compounding interest, like you look at the numbers and it's just like so obvious. But even when you're making a little bit of money in your first job, just like take something and put it into some investment just because it grows so much over time. Those would probably be the two biggest, which I mean, I know I'm lucky. I never had any student loan debt. I never had any major financial difficulty, but there were just a couple of those like less than optimal things that I would tell anyone younger to like never, ever, ever let a balance ride on your credit card and save some amount of every single paycheck you ever get for your entire life.
Yeah, mine is, I have a hard time thinking about this in terms of like the worst financial decision, because when I think about like mine, it has more to do with like, and I'm going to be very personal and vulnerable here with you all, but it was early, right after I graduated from high school, just like in a bad place, mental health, like with my mental health, and was not like wasn't able to fully grasp like what was happening long term and the repercussions of my actions, I think. So I had taken out a credit card. It's like the first one that, the first credit card that you're able to get. I think it was a Capital One. They got me with the option to have like a pink sparkly card. And I was like, yes. It had a $500 limit on it. And I just like immediately spent all of it and then was just like, I mean, literally I ignored the bills when they came in the mail and didn't look at them, didn't, deal with them. And at the same time, I also had like a decent amount of money in a savings account, and just I had my checking account was tied to it, and just let like overdraft charges pull, like just suck all the money out of that savings account. And I was so pissed off at myself afterwards, like, cleaning all of that up. And it really cost so much more to clean up those messes. But as I said, I was not at a good point in my life where I think I was able to understand what was happening, what I was doing. I think I was like spending in a way to cope in some ways with some things. And so when I say it's hard to talk about it, it's not because I feel like I don't like talking about it, but I often think that when we talk about financial decisions being bad, that there's some underlying issue that maybe needs to be addressed. And so it's hard to say that it's bad because it's really like a symptom of something else that's going on, and that you shouldn't feel shame about to try to find help for it, try to work through it. So yeah, that's where I'm
And
at
we've
with
talked
it.
about this in previous episodes, and I do see kind of the biggest problem with people around me, but even me, it's just that like the anxiety that leads to ignoring it, which creates a snowball, and then you ignore it more. And it really is the case that you just have to like find a way to steel your gut and take all of this kind of emotional hurt that comes from seeing you don't have any money, or seeing that you've made some huge mistake, and just sitting down and writing down the numbers and saying like, okay, here's what I'm doing. I want to pay $20 a month or something. Like you just have to take some action. But that ignoring for month after month after month, yeah, I've done that with many things, not even some financial and then some non. But like it just doesn't make anything better. It makes things so much worse.
It does. And it really is
Yeah.
anxiety. I mean, certainly like, oh, well, if I have anxiety to open that bill, and then I'm not going to deal with it. And it really does just snowball until it feels like something that like you really you cannot even see the full picture of it. You can't feel like you can do anything to even start tackling it. You're like, I don't have the tools. I don't have the resources. I don't know what to do. And so I'm just going to ignore it even more. So yeah.
What about
I feel that way.
What about you,
for
Bobby?
sure.
I have two. One's business related, one's not. The one that's not, back when Tesla was $12 a share, I had a student. This is when I was teaching. I had a student named Wyatt. Shout out to Wyatt. He came in and he was like, Mr. Hoyt, you have to buy Tesla stock. Because we'd been talking about, like, I'd been doing these like financial lessons with him. He's like, you've got to take a look at Tesla. And I was like, all right, dude, let's pull it up. So I pull it up and I was like, the PE is higher than 12, blah, blah, blah. This said a bunch of stupid shit. And then I really thought that I was smart. It's like, what is it a share now? 260. It was such an easy, I should have just done it. I should have just been like, you know what? I'll take a flyer on that. Why not? But I thought I knew better. I thought I was smart. That was a very humbling lesson. That,
do you think Wyatt bought some Tesla shares?
I think he did, actually. I think he was, I don't know if he did or his parents did it for him, but like, it was just hard. It's hard when like a teenager comes up to you with an idea like that. Cause I had another student named Evan that came up and was trying to get me to invest in his like penny stock scheme. Like he had this like weird scammy penny stock thing that he was doing. I don't know if it was actually a scam, but like, he's like, Mr. Hoyt, I'm making like $1,000 a day with penny stocks. You should totally get in on this action. So it's like, you kind of start taking that stuff with a grain of salt.
When did Wolf of Wall Street come out compared to when he tried to get you to do that?
Oh my gosh. Hold on. That's a good question.
Wolf was that 2009?
13. So that would have been 2 years before, but he was probably influenced by that. And he was like one of my favorite students too. He's like the funniest kid, the kid that was trying to get me in the penny stock thing. And I don't even know I don't know what happened to him, because I know that he went on this kind of like, he went down this road of like being this like investor and stuff. And I don't think that I don't know. Anyway. So that was that. The business one was, we spent thousands of dollars a month. This is years ago, thousands of dollars a month on a cartoon artist.
That was
to make versions of our, no, it was not. We spent some stupid amount of money getting a bunch of different images of this is the end of the business, but Biggie Snugs, which is like a cartoon teddy bear. We had this professional cartoon artist just drawing up version after version after version. And I remember sitting there, we were like, oh, this is so cool. And it was literally just lighting money on fire. It's like, so I'm a little bit embarrassed about that, because there were definitely other things that could have been done with the money spent on that.
You made that artist life, you know. If somebody was like,
I need
no one's ever been willing to pay good money for this.
For me. Yeah, I mean, if a business was like, I need you to knit a hat once a month, Ariel, for our business for some promotional, I'd be like, yes, I will do that for you. Thousands of dollars a month.
Thousands of dollars a month for one hat.
Bobby said thousands of dollars. I'm assuming that
how many images of
Biggie Snugs
did you get though?
I don't know. I don't even want to guess on this, but I'm sure we paid something like, when it was all said and done, we probably paid $1,000 an image of this stupid bear. I don't know.
That's a lot.
I don't know. It might be 500. It's somewhere between $500 and $1,000 per version of this thing that we got. And it was just, it's really, when you're not super experienced in business and you start making some money, it's very easy to just do dumb things with it. So
it's a good question, Michael.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Questionable Decisions. We'll be back next week. If you want to know anything else about what we're doing here at Millennial Money Man, or if you have any questionable decisions you want us to discuss, you can find links in the description. We'll see you next week.